Welcome back to another episode of the Employer Exchange. Our goal is to talk to business owners, employers, and talk about issues that they've had in the workplace or any stories so that other employers, business owners can learn from those stories and improve their workplaces one story at a time. It's been a while. We've been off for about 2 months. I've had a trial. My partner had a trial. He's actually busy today. He's not able to join us. Dan Seiden. Shout out to Dan. But we are joined by two great guys, two partners in their own right, Chad Langevin, Kevin Parrow. How's it going?
Tony, it's going great. Thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Kevin, where are you calling in from today?
I'm actually at my house in Connecticut right now, so I'm enjoying some of the nice weather up here. I've been in Florida the last few weeks. It's nice to have a little bit of a reprieve from the heat. So
nice.
Happy to be back up here, and thanks so much for having us on the show.
Thanks for joining us. So tell everyone about Sonder and give us also an overview of how you guys partnered up.
Sure, Chad. I was just about to say, sure, Chad, why don't you start? So funny enough, Chad and I have known each other and been friends for many years. We worked together at a different firm probably 12, 13, 14 years ago. It's been quite a long time. We've seen a lot change in both of our lives coming from two guys kind of just starting off in the life insurance business, figuring out how to make things work to, now having a full financial practice focused on tax efficient financial planning and investing and, having employees and looking at acquisitions and office space and all these different things that have come up. But it's been a really fun journey. And the genesis behind Sonder Wealth and the name behind it was something Chad had come up with. And the word Sonder means the recognition that everyone else's life is as complex as your own. As advisors, we've always wanted to be focused on the people around us, our employees, our colleagues, and most importantly, our clients.
How's it being a partner with Kevin, Chad? You guys get along?
Yeah, and I balance each other out really well. I think you have to balance personalities. You have to balance two type A personalities. Our business is, it's a demanding business, and we both want to achieve a lot in our business, and we both have different ways sometimes of trying to do that. So we've been at this for 3 years now. It's been a great success. I think if we could say that so far, and we both want the same things, and we come together to try and achieve that.
So we're about a year post-COVID. You guys decided to join forces. And what was the name of the firm at that time?
At that time, we were running basically, this isn't what we would call it in our industry, but effectively the easiest way to explain it is we were running sort of a franchise model under CIG Private Wealth Management. So they were very fair with us and gave us the opportunity to have our own office and build together. And so we came together and decided before we got married, we dated a little bit, and we decided to keep our practices separate, but we were sharing staff and expenses 50-50. So we wanted to make sure it was a good fit first. And then we kind of officially got married 2.5 years ago, the beginning of 2022.
Where did you guys settle?
So I also own an insurance agency separately from what we do. And I had space in Southington for quite some time. And I have two separate partners outside of Chad in that business. And they happen to have space available that they wanted to sublet. So it was sort of easy to be able to have the insurance operation right next door to, that's how we kind of landed over there in Southington.
Hope you liked being in Southington, Chad.
It was a great transition for us. We needed space. Kevin, like he had mentioned, had these relationships. And he's in West Hartford. I live in Farmington. We're 20 minutes away, door to door, unless there's some traffic. We built a really nice practice there. I think long term, there may be an option to move a little closer to Central Connecticut. But elaborate on what Kevin said. When we first kind of branched off and created that branch office, we started with two part-time employees. And it's now evolved to two full-time employees, Kevin, myself, two full-time employees, and we had an intern all summer. Actually, his last day was yesterday. We had to say goodbye to him. But
Kevin gave us a insight onto the name, but Chad, how much thought and effort did you actually put into it? Let the people know.
Yeah, so it was a process and a purposeful process, I would say. As CIG was taking practice in a certain direction, Kevin and I luckily have seen tremendous growth since we partnered up, and we realized that we needed something that we could kind of our touch on, I guess is the best way to put it, and make sure that we could build something bigger than ourselves. Which is great to be an advisor. We work with amazing clients, but we want to build our processes and grow our firm to touch more people. Part of that is the rebrand to make sure that we go out and we support either an organization or we put our name on something that's growing our brand and not somebody else's. I think. And as far as the process and the timeline, we started this process at the end of last year. We hired an independent marketing person who helped us with creating our imagery and brand itself, but messaging that you see on our website now. I think we had 6 different meetings with our marketing person just on the messaging piece to make sure that it was really representative of who we are, what we want our clients to know, that be really true to ourselves. I think
The cool thing was like going through that process, we really got to, I think in a way, learn ourselves better. We were asked all these questions. I
sure.
want to give a shout out to Linz Kiefer, who's our marketing person. I mean, Linz was an amazing interviewer and really asked some like just great, thoughtful questions on like, hey, why do you do it this way? Or like, and we know all that stuff like the back of our hand. And so it was cool because a lot of it's so ingrained in what we do that it's not something we always think about, but it really, I think, brought a lot of the why behind things and our desire to help people really live the lives that they want and make their lives easy and all these things that we care so deeply about come to life and come to fruition. And that was a cool thing for us. And really a big reason behind the rebrand was just wanting people to know how much we care. That's really where it started. And I really truly believe that, but like, how do you say that to someone and convey that and not in a way that's just like sounds fluffy or doesn't
Mm-hmm.
sound genuine? It's like, how do you do all those in a tactful, respectful way? And um, that was the cool part of the process. And our tagline, which I hadn't mentioned, is simplifying complexity. We really want to speak like plain English and help people understand these things and bring them into the process so they feel like they know what's going on and we're not just speaking numbers at them all the
Yeah.
time. So um, Chad got to talk a lot about his background. Certainly coming from humble beginnings. His father's a truck driver and mom owned a small business, and he's the first one to graduate college in his family. And I'm the first business owner in my family, and my mom is a big reason why I do what I do. I mean, she's really the main reason I do what I do. So um, we get to tell our stories, and that was a that just wasn't encapsulated in our branding or firm name or any of that stuff previously.
We wanted our brand to be representative of, a little bit more youthful, but with that same level of experience. Kevin's been in this business 18 years. I've been here for 16. It's the only thing we've really ever done. And
Just want to let everyone know we're going to have a fun question at the end and we'll learn how these two guys would survive being on a deserted island with only one object. I know there's the rebranding of the website. Any feedback so far from either family, friends, colleagues, clients? How's it been received?
Chad has really been, a rock for me in this process because I'm kind of more the worrier by nature. I mean, I think Chad worries too, but he does it a little bit more silently than I do. And, I'm not someone who loves change in this kind of aspect. And I was just nervous as to how it would be received. And I really feel like it couldn't have been received in a better way. I mean, the level of, feedback and just even like congratulations and people, the excitement that it's brought, I think to, everything has just been so cool. I think it's made our meetings more exciting with our clients just because they're seeing like, I think that people really appreciated the effort that we put into trying to convey these things. And I think that people felt like, wow, like these guys really do care about us and we know that they care about us, but they took the time to show us that in a way. I think we're really thoughtful about how we convey the message to people. And some of the feedback that I've gotten is that there's a lot of people who redo their branding, but our level of communication, I think, was a lot higher in this process because people did, we really do care. And like we were letting people know in our review meetings that this was upcoming, 6 months prior and
Mm.
really telegraphed what was going to happen and what they could expect and then followed through on it. So the feedback's been great. I think people are really excited and I think they've been really happy for us. And it's been been awesome to see because I was nervous and a little scared to.
Tell the audience what you do, like the types of people you guys help or the business owners that you help.
First thing we do for clients is position ourselves as a resource. I mean, we have a 3-stage process that we take our clients through. The first is what we call a discovery meeting, which really allows us to get a understanding of our clients. And that discovery meeting gives a really good opportunity for us to learn about them, why they're sitting there at that moment. Really, just as important, I think, is for them to learn about us and learn about our process. So we pride ourselves on making sure like our clients leave that discovery meeting knowing exactly what the expectations are of them, what the expectations are of us, what that service is going to cost. I think they get to make a really good decision based on having all of the information. And we create a high level analysis for them through a review and recommendation meeting, which is the second meeting. And they get to make a decision at that point whether or not this is the right fit for them. Right. So being a fee-based firm, we're not transactional with our clients. We're selling a relationship. Our youth, so to speak, I'm like Kevin mentioned, I just turned 40, Kevin's 39, is I think a tremendous advantage for us to really be with our clients through retirement, helping with legacy planning, intergenerational wealth planning. Every advisor can help you put a well-diversified portfolio in place, assuming they've been doing it long enough. It's all the things that touch that. And then the ongoing work is what we call strategy meetings. And that's another thing that's really purposeful in the nomenclature that we use there, right? We're always taking our clients forward. These aren't review meetings. Strategy meetings are our ongoing process to meet with clients to make sure that we're staying in front of the trends in the market, the trends in the financial world that are important to them and that are pertinent to them, and continue to drive our clients forward as opposed to focusing on the things that have happened in the past.
You are both working with individuals, but also with business owners. Am I getting that
Correct.
right? Okay.
Absolutely. We work with a lot of business owners, and many of them come to us with a whole host of issues. They're trying to retain employees and build really good relationships with their employees and, to show appreciation for what, their staff is doing for them. So we're helping them come up with the appropriate benefit structure, thinking about M&A strategies. Many of them are acquiring other businesses and growth through acquisition is a big initiative for them. And a lot of them are, then doing that and looking at ways how to exit and how to do that in a tax efficient manner as well. And how to do it in a way that helps their current staff and potential successors become very successful as well. It's one of the cool things I found with a lot of the business owners that we work with, and it's inspiring to us, is like so many of them are focused on how to help the next generation come in and do the right things and make sure that their staff is well taken care of. So it's cool to be able to help them through that process. And in turn, I think we're able to take a lot of the best, best in class practices that we see from other businesses and bring it into our own, which is kind of an ancillary benefit for us as business owners. And then we work with a lot of other clients that are, higher net worth individuals, retirees, who are making a transition. A lot of what we're doing is people are in transition of some sort, whether it's buying or selling a business, whether it's retiring, unfortunately getting divorced or had a death in the family, things like that too. So a lot of these big transitions we're helping people through.
Okay. How do you guys do it? Is this a 2-man show?
We've definitely had challenges, growing pains, but we've got a lot of really good people in our orbit, in our sphere, because there are some people who work directly for us, but then there's some people that we work really closely with that are, partner firms, insurance agencies, CPA firms, estate planning firms. We sort of function as like a multifamily office where we have all these services that we provide to our clients, but we have sort of our preferred vendors that we work with. We're unbelievably appreciative of our staff and what they do for us. And, they're sort of the glue that holds a lot of the things together. Our director of ops, Sarah, I mean, she's unbelievably organized, and she does kind of everything from project management to client interaction to, I would say like executive management. I mean, my mom always taught me managing your managers is a really important skill. And we've asked Sarah to help us with that, so yeah. She's helping to manage us and keep things on track. And then John, our paraplanner, he's helping us with a lot of the client related stuff, and he's been such a great resource to have from someone who can do the research for us, bring it back to us, help us communicate it to the client, and help us with all the client-related projects. And Sarah's doing a lot of the firm-related projects, and our intern's now been with us for a couple of years. And believe it or not, for an 18-year-old kid, he's really bright guy, and he comes back and helps with a lot of bigger projects. So we're lucky to have that. And then we've got a lot of great mentorship from other firms around us. And
tell me about the first time you and Kevin sat in on an interview for a new team, or maybe your first team member. Did you guys come up with questions? I think it would be important for the audience, right? Like, they've heard what you guys do now. They've heard your story, how you've grown in the last 3 years. But what was it like making that first hire?
So the interview process was very interesting. Our first real interview was probably Sarah, because John was with us part-time working with Kevin before we even partnered up. So and I knew John prior to him actually working for us solely, and we had another person in Sarah's role prior to that didn't work out for a number of reasons. In Sarah's case, that interview process, so outside of even Sarah, was really interesting. And I imagine a lot of employers go through this, right? So we tried to do like an Indeed posting and try to get the job description out there.
What was your experience with Indeed? Because we've used Indeed, and I have employer clients who have used Indeed.
We had that one person who asked which job they were interviewing for.
Yeah, so I'll elaborate on that story. It was pretty funny in a second. But I actually thought the Indeed experience was okay. I mean, I think we put good parameters in there, and we did get a couple of pretty good interviews out of that. Ultimately, one person that we could have hired from it, and one person that we definitely wouldn't have hired, the person that at the end of the 30-minute interview stopped me and asked me what position they were interviewing for. I politely said, I think, we'll let you know we'll let you know if we're interested. And for Sarah specifically, as far as the interview, she was outside of Indeed. So we didn't find Sarah on Indeed. She came to us as a client, and maybe during the first or second meeting that I had with Sarah, I had mentioned that, hey, we are going to be looking at, adding a team member in the future. And quickly she's like, I would love to work here. She was excited about it. And, I think we kind of had some pause initially because we're thinking, all right, we have this client relationship. She was really, really excited about it. We weren't hiring at that moment. It was probably about 6 months later. We did reach back out to Sarah. We interviewed her. I think Kevin and I both walked away from it going, this was just the right person. And so we call it luck, but I think we got lucky with Sarah. I kind of saw our process. She saw how we worked with clients. And I honestly think that just resonated with her. I think she felt, and she would tell you to this day, I think she feels this level of comfort, in our office, that she's happy to be helping people, right? She's happy to be working with, hopefully two business owners who care about her and care about like the health of the practice. My saying, it's, always do the right thing, right? Like that's my motto. It's like, when it comes down to it, what are we going to do? We're just going to do what's right. Like that's always what we're going to do. So I think that gets conveyed in how we do business day to day, and hiring process. I think she had an advantage. She knew how we treated our clients already, right? She had gone through that process, and to her, it felt like something she wanted to be a part of.
Okay. Well, let's do a lightning round here. What other, platforms have you used? So you mentioned Indeed. Can you rattle off some others if you've used any?
LinkedIn. I think we did put it on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And maybe got a couple of.
And I would say that we had a positive experience overall on that, because we actually did get some qualified candidates that responded. Sarah just was such a perfect fit for what we were looking for. And like Chad said, we just walked away, after we had done some other interviews, just feeling so good about Sarah. But LinkedIn and Indeed were the only ones we used.
And those were paid, or was it free?
LinkedIn was
LinkedIn was free. But
Got it. All right. And you've had some additions, you've interviewed. Were those remote interviews, in person?
All of them at the time were, I think, virtual. Two in office, Sarah, and then one other candidate that we didn't. That actually, I think,
We
is the only other one that we would have considered probably hiring. She did come in person.
Yeah, the first round of interviews, like narrowing things down, was done virtually, and then or over the phone, and then once we had it narrowed down, we brought people in person to have face-to-face interviews.
If you have to have an interview with someone in person versus remote, or what do you think?
Face-to-face is my vote, no question.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's something about being able to read someone's body language, really get a better feeling for that person in when you're meeting face to face.
I really like to see how they walk in and present themselves and how they introduce themselves or don't to, the rest of the team. And like that matters so much to me. When I saw how, when people came in, how they interacted with John and the gentleman who was previously working for us, like that really matters, and then you kind of get a feel of like, how they would interact with our existing team or how they might, present themselves or introduce themselves to our clients. And that to me is a really important thing.
And when you're hiring, is it for someone that's going to be working for the both of you? So,
And like Chad mentioned at the beginning, we certainly have complementary strengths. And so I think that we're viewing and picking up on a lot of different things when we meet with someone, but they're definitely working for the practice. Chad and I are 50-50 in the business, and, all employees are shared and, meant to have their own specific role within the team.
for interviews as 50-50 partners, are you exchanging questions? Are you just coming in cold and just a feel and then asking some of the traditional interview questions?
I think our initial process is we borrowed some templates for some vanilla questions. I think we do base it off of feel. Like we're a small business. It's client facing. There are clients. We're very protective of that. So I think if I don't want to say you use your gut, I think, but with the size of our organization, putting somebody in a small office where we're going to see them. I mean, I see Kevin, Sarah, and John probably more than I see my wife on a weekly basis. It's really important that we have a comfort level with that. And to piggyback on that, we also have some tools that Commonwealth will provide us. We can do a Colby index, which will help us get like some a little bit more detail around personality. So if somebody makes it through like that first process, I think we've used those in the past. We did use it with Sarah. And I think in the future we would utilize those as well. A lot of the reason behind it is Kevin and I, we know what our characteristics are, and we want to try and hire somebody that kind of complements those, and doesn't. We don't need any more Chad or Kevins, at least at this moment in our careers. I think the point I'm getting at is we need to hire people that don't necessarily have the same strengths as Kevin and I, but have strengths that can pick us up where we're lacking. And we're aware of that. I mean, as we continue to hire, I think using those tools can help us identify other potential employees that have skill sets that we don't.
Yeah, we really are proponents of playing to your strengths and making your strengths even better. And if you're going to focus your energy and attention, focus on the things that you're really, really good at. And we want to hire for our weaknesses is really how we're thinking about it. I mean, I know I certainly wasn't a natural born manager. I don't have a lot of experience in it. I'm very lucky to have Chad here, with all of his military background, and he's very logical and strategic. And so I think to the point of your question around how do we prepare for that and that component of it, Chad is very diligent in his preparation around a lot of these things. He does run our HR department. I manage more of the operational side. So once we have a process in place, I'm managing that process, but he's managing HR. So he's been really great about having a process and taking some of the templates that were available and customizing them, and then utilizing the questions. And we try to dive deeper on some of the questions that we ask, but he's been really great about preparing frameworks within HR to ask those questions and understand people. And I would just offer too, there's a book that I read, Words That Change Minds, that has been really impactful to me in a lot of ways. And one of those things is how so the book talks a lot about motivational traits and working traits. How do people work and what motivates them? And it's one of the things I always pay attention to in interviews is, are you motivated towards the achievement of something or away from in avoidance of something, right? We have clients that come in and they want to build their wealth, but some of them are because they never want to be broke again, whereas other people really want to have a beach house, right? Are we trying to achieve something or are we trying to avoid something? And
Yeah.
so I think that's a big thing that we focus on, like when we're trying to hire someone is like, what are their motivational traits? What are their working traits? And how do we keep them engaged and involved in the team? And where do they fit in the team? And what would their role be? So Chad, like I said, has done a great job with asking those questions and having really great follow-up questions.
And what we've talked about so far is the employer part of the business now, right? And specifically zeroed in on hiring. What you guys talked to me about is how you started creating that team, the interviews. How do you find these candidates? You talked about LinkedIn. We've also used LinkedIn with some good results. We've used Indeed. We've used ZipRecruiter. There's various platforms out there. You get some qualified candidates. They come in for interviews. Are you doing those virtually? Are you doing those in person? We would agree with you guys. In person is the way to go. Body language is important. And, from there, kind of the questions, right, I think are super important, right? Templates are good. People can find templates online or can ask colleagues who have a similar business, and then get the answers to those questions. Really important. I know we've already shouted her out, but hopefully she'll hear this and have a smile on her face. I also recognize as an employer and representing employers, like the interview process can kind of drag sometimes for people or nerve wracking. Always throw fun questions in there. For example, one you could have any superpower, what would it be and why? Kind of lightens the mood, but also it gives me a sense of what the person is kind of thinking. Like, I want to be invisible so I could spy on people. Maybe I may not want to hire this person, right? Yeah. So one of the other questions is the question that we like to ask on this show, which is, you guys are going to a deserted island. You can only bring one thing. You're going separately, by the way. You're not going together. You can't team up there. But you're going to go to a deserted island. That was going to be
part of my answer. I was like, man, Chad's got the military experience. I'm good.
Right. 1 week, you're going to be at a deserted island. I don't know if there's going to be food there. I don't know it's going to be an island in the middle of the ocean. And I'm sending you there, and you can only bring one item. Chad Langevin, what are you bringing?
I'm going to be very, very boring with this, but I'm going to bring flint and steel. Like, I'm going to go like old school Boy Scout. Like, if I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be able to build a fire, which means I can cook food. I can, boil stuff, boil water. Yep. So it's not two things. It doesn't count as two things in my.
All right,
in my
I'll
book.
give you that. That's a
flint and steel come. They come together.
So you bought it. You went to a store.
Yeah. The Swedish Army sells like it comes on a rope. It's a piece of flint and steel. It comes together. So that's what I would buy.
Good. That's acceptable. Yeah. We've checked with the judges, and they say yes. Kevin Parrow, what about you?
I'm bringing a cell phone with service so that I can ask Google what the heck I'm going to do with myself, because I'm the last person who should be on a deserted island. I need Google.
Thank you for participating. And before we sign off, let the people out there know where they can find Sonder, website, social media, phone numbers, address, all that good stuff.
All right. So our website is www.sonder, SONDER, advisors.com. We're located in Southington, Connecticut. We also have offices in Bonita Springs, Florida, and West Hartford, Connecticut. And our phone number, 860-703-9500. You can find us online. We're on social media. You can find us there. So if you're interested, let us know.
Great. Thank you so much for joining us. I enjoyed our conversation. The way we like to sign off these podcasts is to give the old tip of the cap. So when I get to one, we'll give a tip of the cap, and we'll end the podcast. Ready to rock. All right, 3, 2, 1. Till next time.